Crossing Siberia, from Moscow to Mongolia. In 1891, Nicholas II made a terrific voyage crosswise over what was then the Russian Empire on what was known as the Tsar's train. The sovereign wandered from the royal capital of Saint Petersburg to Vladivostok, on the solidified edge of Siberia, more than 9,000 kilometers away. A similar course, now known as the Trans-Siberia Railroad, exists today, with branch lines that permit voyages to goals to the extent China and Mongolia. All on board. Dissimilar to Tsar Nicholas II, I would start by voyage in Moscow, where I arrived at Domodedovo Airport in October. To start with expert tip, dress warmly. The temperature was about 3 degrees. Used to tropical climate, I was chilled, wearing just a thin coat, winter cap and hand-weave gloves. 2 months previously leaving for Russia, I had bought my tickets, burning through $285 for a 87-hour section from Moscow to Irkutsk on the Trans-Siberia Railway and $200 for the 22-hour travel from Irkutsk to Ulaanbaatar, the Mongolian capital. Buy can likewise be made in Moscow, or by means of sites, for example, RussianRail.com or ExpressToRussia.com, which will convey tickets to your lodging. Before withdrawing, I halted at a grocery store. 3 days on a prepare voyaging below average implied I needed to lay in a supply of nourishment and sundries, for example, moment noodles, flip failures for the shower and 5 jars of lager. Second ace tip, Russian rail officers say that you can't expedite more than 5 jars the prepare. I was at Moscow Yaroslavskaya station, which frames a rail end imparted to Kazansky and Leningradsky stations, around 3 hours previously takeoff, as recommended. Every auto of my prepare had from 6 to 9, very spotless, traveler compartments, a latrine, shower room and an officer space. In my below-average compartment, towels, covers, sleeping cushions and pads were conveniently stacked. There was plentiful space for 4 to rest, 2 on upper billets, which collapsed away amid the daytime, and 2 on bring-down compartments. We cleared out Moscow just before midnight, beginning my Siberian enterprise. Intersection the Taiga. Half-daily later, I was welcomed by daylight through the window. I took a gander at the passing scene, helped to remember Paulo Coelho's portrayal of his stumble on the Trans-Siberia Railroad in his book, Olive. The subcold woodlands that the Russians call taiga snuck past, as did little towns loaded with excellent wooden houses with windows painted in brilliant hues. Regardless of how sluggish I was, I whispered to myself not to close my eyes. It was too valuable to miss the excellence before my eyes. We ceased in Kazan, around 800 kilometers from Moscow. The prepare would make 11 stops while in transit to Irkutsk. On the off chance that I be able to would have become off in each city as we advanced east. In any case, time imperatives implied I would ride the rails another 4,000 or so kilometers before landing. After Kazan, the view was filled by woods of birch, Russia's national tree, whose white trunks radiated an impression both chilly and spiritualist. Russian Old Stories is loaded with stories of spirits in the forested areas. It's anything but difficult to perceive any reason why. The very beginning transformed into day 2. I abode time conversing with kindred explorers in the passage. Now and again, I remained in calm by the window for long stretches, enjoying the delightful landscape. While there was a feasting auto toward the finish of my prepare, I additionally thought that it was anything but difficult to get bubbling water for tea, espresso and moment noodles from a nozzle close to the staff compartment. Compartments offer attachments to keep devices charged. Each auto has a latrine, shower room, Yet make plans with staff before showering, as that piece of the room isn't open 24 hours every day. In Irkutsk. On day 3, we achieved Irkutsk and the appealing excellence of Lake Baikal. We were presently more than 5,000 kilometers east of Moscow. In spite of the fact that the temperature was 1, the sun shone brilliantly and I was eager to investigate this Siberian city of more than 500,000. The visitor board makes it simple, with green walkway lines, the walkway driving you to different statues, landmarks and spots of intrigue. Lake Baikal is in the town of Vladivostok and only a 2-hour side trip from the city. I booked an auto and driver for $100. Known as the Galapagos of Russia, Lake Baikal is home to more than 1,700 types of plants and creatures. Had I touched base after December and before the Russian spring, the lake, which traverses more than 31,000 square kilometers, would have been solidified over. I made a simple trek overland for around an hour to achieve one of the slopes sitting above Lake Baikal. It was tremendous, looking especially like a sea, and was lapped by little waves. Dropping to the town, I went to the market looking for amal, a nearby delicacy of smoked fish that has a delicate, sweet meat encompassed by thick fat to avoid the icy. On to Mongolia. In Irkutsk, I boarded the Trans-Mongolia Railroad. I viewed the dawn over Lake Baikal as we left at 5 a.m. a few hours after the fact. I could in any case observe the lake. We touched base at Ulangnud, around 100 kilometers south of Irkutsk. The city, 600 meters above ocean level, sits at the base of a mountain and is partitioned by the Ud River. The view started to change, with wild steeds running before moving slopes and yellow savanna. 253 kilometers from Ulangnud, we neared the Russia-Mongolia fringe at Noshki station, where there was a hold-up of a few hours while travel permits were checked. We proceeded for a half-hour to Saint Petersburg for a more drawn-out examination by Mongolian outskirt watches. Third day's tip: no photos at Saint Petersburg. The gatekeepers are said to take cameras in the event that you do. It took 8 hours to achieve Darkin, the second biggest city in Mongolia, where we halted for a half-hour before the last 200 or so kilometers to Ulaanbaatar, my last goal. In any case, that is another story. As others rested, I removed the diary from my sack and ticked venturing out crosswise over Siberia to Mongolia off my container list.